and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
I think this is a bit that might get quite emotional. I asked everyone to think about their own personal Disney experience highlight over the last 5 years. And I am going to come to somebody who I think has a very relevant reason for putting this, and that is John. I'm going to come to you first, because if I don't, I'm going to, I need time to compose myself after you've gone through this.
Yeah, I've kept this totally to myself, and this is possibly the first time anyone else is going to hear this and see this. It's immensely personal, and actually, even talking about it is something that within the bigger echelons of doing this show, sometimes over a course of going to Disney for many years, and you go and see a certain show, and when we started this, it was always that big whole thing about the Nemo show against Nemo show was for me, has always been something that's been sort of totally personal, and it always been about I think Lloyd and I had one show very early on where we talked about the wave at the very end and about the Bye Dad part. To have experienced my cancer journey and to actually, I felt quite robust. I've got to say, I had that bit of a fighting spirit about it. And I was in hospital. I was in intensive care, and unknown to me, friends of the show, Neil and Karen, were actually in Orlando, and I hadn't said anything to anyone outside the show. But we've been really fortunate enough to get to know Katie Wetzel, who is part of the Nemo show, and she sent me this video, and pass the tissues.
Hi, John. I just want to say we heard about you from across the pond here, and so on behalf of myself and the entire cast of Finding Nemo, we want to remind you to just keep swimming. We love you.
And in a moment in an intensive care, that was the moment which completely did for me, because none of us do this for any sort of feedback from the outside. We do it because we love Disney. We love doing what we do. We love having a chat, and people get to know us, and they know that I love sort of just chatting. That's become part and parcel of what we do. But to actually have that sent to me, and it broke me, because actually at my lowest point in my entire life, someone from inside Disney and someone that we've got to know as the show reached back, and it was the most magical and most beautiful thing. And when I talked to my wife about it, and she just said, "You're crying. Why are you upset?" I just said, it was happiness, and that sounds really so stupid at a time in your life when things were so probably at the bit where I didn't know if I'd speak again. I didn't know whether or not, I'd get anywhere outside the hospital. It was just the most beautiful moment to just know that everything you were saying in your own mind to beat this horrible disease, and know lots of people who listen to the show and watch the show. We've all got people in our families who are suffering, and if the one thing you take from it is just keep swimming, because you have to, and you have to keep that in the forefront of your mind, because if you don't, at that moment, things don't quite go for you. And I really, when I get to the summer and I see Katie, I don't quite know exactly where we go, because we've become really good friends, because of what we do, and that's so stupid. Mm-hmm. We do this because we love chatting. But what a moment to have that! It still sends shivers, and I know you guys have never seen that before, because I've tried let's say I don't like sharing stuff, and it's not my kind of thing. Hence the fact that I've only become prolific on on Twitter, now X, in slagging off
Yes.
slagging off politicians, as opposed to on Facebook and Instagram. But I'm like, yeah, I just don't go there as much as you guys do as well, So, but yeah, there you go. That's my moment. So I bring the show right down to that sort of low.
No,
level.
thank you, John. And you know what? We appreciate how personal that is, and you sharing
Absolutely.
that with us.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be difficult, so it's done.
We're
Yeah.
taking the plaster off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come to you next, Ben. What
Yeah.
was your personal?
Do you know what? I wrote a list of this the other day, and I
Can I have
Okay.
one?
I know I had 26 on my list.
Oh my goodness.
Wait,
Okay.
and I think a lot of it was like we'd been in the. I remember, and there were so many different moments, and like John, like you said, the past few years, lots of life-changing things happened. We had the moment with your MS diagnosis that we weren't sure what our next trip was going to be like. I remember going through the stage of when, okay, what happens? What does MS mean? We went through the doctors, we didn't know anything, and it was a moment when it was like, we both got a week off holiday over Christmas, which is the first time we've ever had time off together over Christmas. Do we just go and book a trip to Walt Disney World? And we did, and we borrowed Jill and Peter's cold weather and took it along with us. But being out there for a week, just hitting the parks. Epcot was pretty empty on Christmas Day, which
That's because it was like -2
degrees.
degrees.
We were in coats, we were in hats. There was it was incredible. We had the biggest pizza at Via Napoli, and for an entire week, we totally forgot about doctors, hospitals, any sort of whatever happens next. We were just living in that moment, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken from doing that. Everything we've done with the Waffle in the past 5 years is like, you just got to live. You just got to take that next day and just whatever happens, just live it. And you just make money, book that next Disney trip.
Definitely.
Superb.
Thank you.
Claire, can I just interject
go
there
on.
as well? Because a lot of people forget a lot of the shows that we actually have produced were during lockdown. And
Yeah.
yeah, we can go into, we can talk about Disney and things like that, but without having like that new stream of actually been able to get to the States. Yeah, in years to come, some of the recordings that we've actually made over the past 5 years, people will actually go back and actually, what on earth went on during those times? And if people,
What were they
if people
doing?
want to know, go watch some of those live shows that we did when we did Wafflers Assemble, because that encapsulated exactly what lockdown.
John, I've
enforced
got
on
a shocking
people,
statistic for you.
Yeah.
As of this podcast, we have done just under 11,000 hours of podcast.
Oh my word!
Wow.
That's insane. Surely we've got something better to do with our
That
time.
does not include live shows.
Wow!
Does
Think
not
how much
include live
money we
shows.
could have made had we used it productively. Okay, Robin, I'm going to go to you next, and then we're gonna change the tone because I have a feeling yours might be.
Yeah, I'm a bit like Ben. I think I'm fortunate that I have lots of. I'm a silver linings kind of girl anyway. I'm a glass half full, so there's so many amazing memories for the last 5 years. I think a bit like your trip, Ben and Becca, when I went last July. It was a trip that was already booked. I was going with a friend, but to go then after having the diagnosis before my surgery, it was quite nice to give me a bit of time to forget about what was coming. But going back last December, like November, December, with the family, not knowing what life was going to be like, and then to be able to go and be able to do most of what what I wanted to do. I obviously still recovering from surgery, and still now I still don't ride everything and do everything because I think, not sure I should do that yet. Yeah, I think going back and having an extended period of not being in Disney that I wouldn't have intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, having those hugs on Main Street with my friends was a definite highlight. I think it's not necessarily about the big things, it's about the little things. And yeah, standing watching the fireworks, seeing bands that I didn't know if I'd ever get to see again, seeing shows that I didn't know if I'd be able to see again, riding rides that I didn't know if I'd ever be able to see again. I've got a moth that just really likes me. Yeah, I think that those are some of my highlights for sure.
Cool.
What about you, Simon?
Our 10th wedding anniversary, I think, is the one that stands out for me. I mean, some people probably know that my first experience of Orlando was our honeymoon.
Which
and that
was your first choice, Simon? I hasten to add. I read the list, and I thought that was the most beautiful thing as well to actually have that on there. So I'll have that noted for you as well.
Yeah. So, and that was that completely changed my entire, like, I'd say life, because before that I'd never been one for Disney theme parks, never one for like thinking of I must visit Orlando. And that changed everything then. So to then be there on our 10th wedding anniversary, and the opportunity to stay in the Polynesian bungalow and have friends over. We did 2 nights at the bungalow there, and we had loads of people that we'd met and friends we'd met through Disney that were there. Some people that from Disney cast members that we'd become friends with that came to celebrate with us. People from the UK and people and other friends from the US as well that were there. So, the opportunity to celebrate in Disney on our 10th wedding anniversary was one of those hard to forget moments.
A table full of Panda Express you saw there as well.
Nothing wrong with that. That's elite cuisine right there.
If you
That
stay,
cake looks amazing.
that was one that my friend organised for me. But no, did you know if you stay at the Polynesian, you can have Ohana dinner brought to your room?
Really?
Do you know how much that is?
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
Enough for another night.
Yeah.
The same cost as the Poly Bungalow.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That was a nice moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an incredible moment. Peter, go on.
I've put Mysterious Island in Tokyo, but really it's actually finally getting to Tokyo. We wanted to do it for so long. It got cancelled so many times because of COVID and Japan not opening up again, and we just so wanted to go, and we finally did it, and it was fantastic. And Mysterious Island was my favourite part. It's just the perfect little bit of theming.
Very steampunk.
Very steampunk, industrial. The 2 rides there are 2 of the best in a Disney park anywhere, and it just feels great being there.
So
But
it's
just
Journey
get-
to the Centre of the Earth.
Journey to the Centre of the Earth
and 20,000
From the
Leagues Under the Sea. I did 20,000
Amazing.
Leagues. It is amazing. It is beautiful. I did not do Journey to the Centre of the Earth, but that looks incredible as well. And to me, it feels like what Discoveryland and Disneyland Paris could be if it had the courage of its convictions and stuck with the Jules Verne theming.
But
That's
it's
cool.
really, I suppose, it is just finally getting to Tokyo, and
I'm just so glad you did.
yeah,
Because I remember our first few shows, you're talking about like, we've got the plans for Tokyo, and it was just one of those things.
Quite frankly, we were all getting bored hearing about it. So I'm glad you got it.
I don't care.
I'm joking. Jill, did you pick Tokyo for yours as well?
Kind of. Yeah, mine was a ride in Tokyo that I had long wanted to do. And I'm afraid, much as I love the Sherman Brothers, It's a Small World has now been supplanted in my affections by something with an Alan Menken score. This is Sinbad Storybook Voyages.
Oh, it looks amazing.
It is kind of very similar
Extra
to It's a
deep.
Small World.
I was going to
but
say
yeah.
there's a B in
Sinbad.
Sinbad's.
Yeah,
Sinbad.
it
Never
is.
seen it spelled like
Yeah.
that.
It is, yeah. It's
Yeah.
Sinbad. Yes.
Hmm.
But yes, you will see there that is Sinbad and his little tiger friend Chandu.
Mhm.
Chandu is the cutest ever. That is the plushie that I brought home of Chandu. He is just the cutest little tiger, and he turns up in almost every scene. He's playing the drums, and he's hiding in a boat full of bananas, and just so many things. It's just so cute. And the detail, the animatronics are amazing. The music is superb. The detail, you could just go around and again and again and again. And it's just one of the most beautiful rides ever.
Some of the animatronics are the biggest and most detailed in Disney.
Yeah.
Did they put that
They
boat
are.
full of bananas there just for Peter?
Just for me.
Just for
yeah.
Peter, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to ride it, Peter?
I was fine. Don't worry. I was fine.
Okay. All right.
Just imagine on the warning sign, you get out of the track.
Yes.
Get loads of
No,
bananas.
Just
no.
bananas, yes.
Becca.
So
Where are you
mine
going?
was the Wild Africa Trek, which we did last June.
Mhm.
Much like Claire, I am not the greatest fan of heights and rope bridges extended from heights. So actually to be able to do that and kind of almost conquer that fear was quite a big thing, especially when I considered that in 5-10 years' time, it might not be something I'm able to do. So it was kind of let's do this now while I can.
Yeah. It's an incredible experience, isn't
And
it?
it is an amazing experience.
You know, I get it. I get the
Yeah.
rope bridge thing.
Yeah.
But the ability to do it and just know that you've done it and
Yeah.
the sense of achievement that you felt. I know that you came back and you were like, I did it. I
Yeah.
managed to do it. Look, there's a photo of me smiling.
Well, I'm not quite sure I'm smiling.
Horse
to be
smile
fair.
face.
Yeah.
I'm smiling on the ones after it because it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Good call. Mine, I have I really thought about it and I had so many different things. And I think that the way I'm going to phrase it is my Disney firsts. So over the last few years, I've done a few things that I've never done before. So we did do a Disney cruise last year, which was the first time I've ever been on a cruise ship, let alone a Disney cruise ship. I have, as people who listen to the show know, I have been fortunate enough to take a number of solo trips. So I'd never traveled on my own before. And I've now done 4, just about to be 5 solo trips in the last few years, which really challenged my, personal journey and the ability to do that. And you like fly off somewhere on your own completely and just take a chance at whatever was going to happen, knowing there was people to pick me up at the other end and it was all going to be okay. But it was,
kind of solo.
Sorry.
Kind of solo.
Yeah, well, solo, but with friends at the other end, and
That's how I do it.
Yeah. And I think that was a real groundbreaking moment for me personally. But something that I did put down was something that I had never seen Fantasmic, and I've spent like 4 years of John saying Fantasmic and his family saying Fantasmic. It's like their favourite show in all of Walt Disney World. And they always see it and the kids love it and everything. And I was like, I've got to see Fantasmic. And I know we mentioned him earlier. Zach Brown was so kind. He said to me, come on, we'll go to Fantasmic. I'll take you to Fantasmic. And I was like so excited. I was like, I'm going to finally get to see this thing that John's talked about. It's got this Moana section in it. And and I had deliberately, for as long as possible, not looked at any video footage of it. So I hadn't watched the show in any way, shape or form. And bearing in mind, this was a trip in December.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. And I was genuinely like a little kid. I was like, I'm so excited to get to go and see this. I was wearing my white Mickey t-shirt and my shorts, and it wasn't the warmest of days, But Zach and we went to the second showing, so it was sort of 8:30, I think was the time, and I was like, "Oh, let's find a seat, let's find a seat." And we sort of got halfway down. It's like, "Oh, no, it's okay." And Zach went, "Hang on, wait there," and he disappears, and then he comes back. He's like, "I've got the perfect seat," and I was like, "Oh, great! Wow, how did you do this?" "Oh, I had a chat with the cast member, Mr. Charming. Come with me," and we sat in the front row. Which, because I had never ever seen Fantasmic and I didn't know what was going to happen, I thought this was a good thing. Within
I
5
think
minutes,
it's a good thing.
right? Within 5 minutes, I realised that it was maybe not such a great thing in December.
Yes.
In December,
Yeah.
wearing a white t-shirt. As I got colder and wetter as the whole 30-minute show went on, and to be fair though, Zach was a good sport. He was also
Cold
just
and
wearing a
wet.
t-shirt. He was also cold and wet. But it was it's just Fantasmic. I adore. I love seeing it. I make a point of going to see it every single time that I'm there now. But you know, that experience of being tricked a little bit by somebody who thought they were being funny, but being able to live out something that you guys had talked about and said was amazing, and I hadn't been able to experience it, and being there on my own as well on a solo trip, it was just like this perfect montage of experiences. So
Cool.
yes, I was cold and wet, but it was amazing.
And I think for anyone listening and watching, I think we have mentioned so many times on the podcast how many times, Claire, that you hadn't been and done Fantastic.
Right.
You've got to go and do it.
I've been fantastic.
Embarrassed her into it,
Yeah.
I think, Ben, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Join us next time as we take a look back at our favourite moment from the show over the last 5 years. You can follow us on our socials at GB Mickey Waffle. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe for even more waffle. Thank you for tuning in to the Great British Mickey Waffle, and see you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my window